What's up? Good morning, guys. FOMC day, baby. We've got some work to do here. Of course, FOMC is in a little over 2 hours, so we have plenty of time to trade as we please until that occurs. We might see some volatility in, the 5-10 minutes leading up to it, of course. Then we'll have some statements after the fact. But from now until then, we are free to do as we'd like. So, what's up, guys? Good morning. How we doing? Venny, Jason, Ricardo, good morning. Giovanni Joe, good to see you. Sidonia, how we doing? Louisville, Kentucky. Derek, Michael, good to have you guys back. Trading Chris, how we doing? Redneck, good morning. All right. All right, let's get into it here. 25 seconds out from the rollover here of this 2-minute bar. This is a 2-minute chart. I'll be executing off the 2-minute chart here today, unless we need to take a trade on the 5-minute or something. But right now I'm focused on the 2. I see some of you guys asking about take profit. The rule here for today. You cannot trade FOMC in your Take Profit Pro or Pro Plus accounts. Not allowed to. So just don't trade that release and you'll be fine. Apex is cool with it though. They don't mind. Hey John, good morning. How we doing? Okay, so, clearly, if we look, little range day here, right? The daily chart, really nothing has changed. If anything, things have gotten tighter. Okay, this 5-minute chart, top left, very clear range here. So, put our head down, we'll trade the range. All right, there's the close of the 5-minute bar. And we are about 50 seconds out from the rollover here of this 2-minute bar. Currently, we're looking at this, right? There's a couple ways you could draw this. You could draw it like this. Right? Some people might feel inclined to start doing this kind of thing, but this is kind of a hard sell in my opinion. For me to buy that, to believe it. Dollar bill. Nico, will you trade through the Powell speech? Yeah, I don't know. Depends on the volatility. I have nothing against it. So many people, man. FOMC day comes, they're like, no trading today for me. It's like, good God. Do you not like trading? I think people just look for excuses because they're scared to trade. Now, don't trade the actual news release. It's 50-50, and we know that by now, right? But trade just to take the whole day off. I just don't think you like working, in which case, I don't know if this is for you, man. Lurt, how we doing, brother? Joe, I cleaned it up. I cut the red day in a little bit less than half. So at the end of the stream yesterday, I was down, not great. I was down $7,500 at the end of stream yesterday. And I finished down 3,000, which is lower than my average green day, so it was fine. It was fine. It's never fun, obviously, to be red, but it's part of the game, man. If you think you're never going to be red, you should not do this for a living. Do you have a course? No. Courses are outdated and hands-off and not helpful. At least very helpful, unless they're really, really heavily built out. So all of my work is one-on-one. Whether we're doing video calls in Market Mastery, or I'm analyzing your data, doing text and voice memo support with the regular one-on-one clients, it's all hands-on, because everybody's unique. Obviously, a course, in 2018, a course was the way to scale things. You gotta understand the business model. You make a course once, you can sell it forever. Okay, but then everyone made a course and everyone bought courses and everyone was disappointed because they're not customized to you. So you might watch the course and you might learn some things. By the way, if you're really green, I don't want to just sit here and shit completely on courses because I've never actually purchased a trading course. It wasn't really as popular to sell those when I was getting started. So I never bought one, but I obviously looked through material that was kind of written as if it was a course, and it's helpful, but it's not going to get you over the edge. It'll get you close to the edge, but it's not going to push you over. What gets you over? The little nuanced questions where you can text me and say, hey, Nico, this happened today. I don't know how to deal with this. And I send you a voice message and say, oh, that happened to me 2 weeks ago. Here's what I did. Or this same thing happened to me 6 years ago. Here's what I did. It has to be living, breathing. It has to be customized to you. Otherwise, it's really tough to get over the edge just with kind of dead in the water course material. Again, it can be helpful to get you from point A to point Y, but to get you over the edge, it's kind of tough. All right, 60 seconds out here. Wolf, good morning. How we doing? Yeah, Jake, mainly I'm hitting the 2-minute chart. The 5 minute's great. The problem with the 5 minute is that the quantity of setups is just not really there. They're a lot less frequent. And with scalping, as we know, sample size is a huge part of the equation. You have to build out the sample size to make sure the numbers work before we're 85 years old, right? All right, inside close there on that 2-minute bar. This is the 5-minute chart. You can see a doji close. All right, if we do get a nice strong bull bar closing near its high, even if it's slightly outside of this little line I have drawn, remember, it's never an exact science, it's always a range, I would sell the rollover. And then if we get a second strong bull bar closing near its high, I would cut it. If we fade back into the range, obviously we'd look to take profit at a reasonable level. You know, when you get these bigger ranges, you kind of got to keep an eye, right? I mean, it's a couple different variations. But I don't like falling for those lately because those have not been holding up very well lately. I have found it treating me better to just look at the entire range as a whole and not get too trigger happy to draw lines inside of a pre-existing range. Meek, the transition to full-time from starting out. It was slow. It was slow, but I mean, in hindsight, I feel like it happened relatively quickly. I mean, really, it probably took... Depends when you call the starting date, because, you know, when you start, you're kind of just messing around. I don't know if I necessarily call that the start date, but from the starting date, it took me, I think, longer than it should have. It took over 2 years to even start making money. And then the transition to full-time, my living expenses at the time, me and my now wife, was not very high. So it really didn't take long once I started making money to be able to pay for everything we needed, both of us. And that primarily came, I've told this story before, from net sell option strategies. So like running the wheel, very basic option spreads. That paid the bills, man, for a while. Very grateful for the net sell side of options, man. That kind of got it started. Obviously, you know, that strategy, it has its own issues, though. When volatility starts to fall, you make less money. It only takes a few minutes a day, really, to manage. So I think pursuing more of an active trading style is important. Even out the equity curve, fill your day, actually, you know, mentally challenge you rather than 12 minutes of managing an options portfolio every day. Which I get. It sounds incredible to some of you, but I like trading. I want to trade. I don't want to sit on my ass all day, man. I can't do it. All right, ATR here. About 9.5. Good. Give us a nice strong bull bar. Obviously, you could start drawing this kind of thing. I'm just going to leave it as a flat. Yeah, you got me there, Jake. All right, 50 seconds out here. Let's see what we get. As far as a close, now, you gotta understand, I mean, we could be looking at a transition into this. Right, bit of a wedge. Even so, it's all right. I'm gonna get rid of these. Still understand that I'm looking at that flat top, flat bottom range. I'm not really too convinced of a break until it's very, very clear. 20 seconds out, let's see what we get. Now ATR is around 9, okay, so we gotta be careful with the asks we're making of this market. I'm gonna short that strong little close. Bring my protective stop. Place that guy there. Bring out the position window. See if we can get a little bit of a fade back down into the range. Again, gotta be careful with the asks we're making, even scalping of the market here today. ATR being right around 10. Obviously, that last bar is going to suck up the average, 17 points on that last bar. With that ATR being 10, you know, realistically, with scalping, you're going to be looking for, it's not like you're looking for, you know, 2x the average range of a 2-minute bar on each individual scalp. That's kind of an unreasonable ask. You end up sitting in trades for hours. So driving manually, fingers on the hotkeys, taking it bar by bar. $60 seconds out here. 30 seconds out. See how the bulls close this bar here. Right now we're looking at a bit of a shrinking bull bar, but here we go. They're trying to grow it a little bit. If it closes extraordinarily strong, then I got to cut it on the close. I like to make early management decisions primarily on rollovers here. This makes life easier. Ooh, wick back. Kind of last second wick back there. All right, I'll suck this up nice and tight. There. Give us a pop through there. I want to get stopped out, and I'll just offload that to the computer here. Keep it nice and tight. If they pop through that wick, my idea is kind of out the window, huh? Risk is small here, man. Gotta tell you, I wish volatility would just pick up and stay up. But you gotta do what you can do. Okay, there we go. Stop for about 10 points. I actually got really good fills. I got really good fills. I got about $300 better than I should have there on the fills. Okay, so we're down not even $1,000, which is very, very light. So let's keep going here. Okay, high of day here is about 541. And we have a dual rollover here, by the way, coming on the 5-minute and the 2-minute in 45 seconds. So let's see what we get here. So obviously that last trade, I was betting against a breakout here, okay? Now this breakout's looking more and more obviously kind of secured by the bulls. We'll see if this bar holds. If it does, I mean, ultimately, I'm really looking at the 5. So let's switch you to a 5-minute here. There we go. Now we're looking at a 5-minute. And 13 seconds out. And I will get a stop limit buy ready because I got to have that ready. Place that. See if we get a fill. Looking to take out maybe some stops up top. Give that about 30 seconds here. If we get a fill, great. If not, after 30 seconds, I'll have to cancel that stop limit buy. Again, now we are on a 5-minute chart because the setup was just a beauty on the 5. $10 seconds. See if we get a fill here. No fill. Got to pull it. Next trade. Icon, what is considered a high ATR for NQ? I'm on MNQ right now, just to clarify, but obviously very similar. Well, I'm okay, look here. That's kind of a loaded question. What time frame are you looking at? This is a 2-minute chart, so ATR on average is going to be a little lower than on, well, it's going to be a little lower than on the 5-minute or on the 15-minute, right? But on the 2-minute chart here, do you guys remember during initial tariff talks, I forget how many points now, but man, we saw one bar, one single, I believe it was a 2-minute bar that had a range of 400 points. Okay, that last bar was a very large bar for today, and it was 19.5 points. So, you know, that says something right there about current volatility. Now, we can't just sit and complain about it. We got to do the best we can, right? But that tariff volatility was not normal, though, just to clarify. All right, let's head back to a 2-minute chart here and see if we can put something together. All right, 55 seconds out here. I need to see it close beneath 516 and 3/4 for me to care. But you gotta be ready. Not there, no trade. Next bar, 2 minutes out. All right, 40 seconds out here. Let's see what we get as far as close. $50 seconds out here. Last bar, 5.5 point range. This bar not doing too much better as far as range. I'd love to see if we can get it closed beneath this wick. Controlled, but beneath that wick. All right, inside close, next bar, 2 minutes out. Yeah, Roy, listen, once you have the data, man, the emotions just fade into oblivion. You're emotional because you're unsure of the result. Once you know you have an edge, it no longer matters. Because then you see every statistical anomaly ever. The longer you do it, the easier it gets because you see more anomalies. And you get through them and you claw back because you have an edge. What is your bias? I don't have a bias. Price action. I don't care. People come in, they say, man, we got bad news this morning, short bias. And then the Nasdaq pumps 4.5%. It doesn't matter, just do what price is telling you in that moment. What's the relationship between buyers and sellers? Is there something you can use as rocket fuel? Like stops, like established stops that have been there. That's fuel in your direction if you can trigger them. All right. $60 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. Yeah, the bias is right into my stop. Chris! How many times have we said it, man? Your 9 to 5 is staring at the screen. They can wait over there. Good to have you back, brother. All right, another inside close there. Nothing I can do on it. Next bar, minute 55 out. I imagine this is the reality for a lot of you guys. You're sitting at your computer and you're on a video call. You're like, yeah, uh-huh. You're like, uh-huh. Yep. Managing your trade while it's railing your stop loss. Down 17,000. You're like, yep, budget sounds good. Yep. All right, 55 seconds out here. Let's see what we get as far as close. All right, so we got to keep an eye on this, right? I hate drawing these tiny little ranges because they tend to not hold up. But I don't hate if we get a close in between this wick and this high. It's a 3-point range, man. Ooh, interesting. I missed it. That happened way too quick. There was no way I was getting that out. Roll over, instantly pop through this little wick high. Can't do it. All right, next bar. You know, one of you programmers out there, I've looked into how to do this on NinjaTrader. I don't know if there's a way, because you'd have to probably pull in the actual bar data from somewhere, and I don't know how to do that. So, one of you programmers out there, if you could program something where I hit a hotkey and it puts out a stop limit buy or a stop limit sell 1 point above the wick high of the bar that is currently rolling over. So we'd be on a new bar and I'd be hitting it, so it would be the last bar. So for example, when this bar closes and rolls over, it would put a stop limit buy, it would pull in, okay, 23,531 and a quarter, and it would place it at 23,532 and a quarter for a stop limit buy. Vice versa for a stop limit sell on the wick low, not the close, but the wick high and wick low. That would be extraordinarily helpful, I think, for hundreds, if not thousands of traders. I've looked into how to do it on Ninja. I can't figure it out. I don't know if there's a way. It's really not that big of a deal. I've obviously been making it work. But little technology things like that just make our lives easier. Ten, when you are on a winning streak, do you take some days off or a week off? No. No. Business as usual. All right, let's see here. Yeah, no. Next bar here, all right. The high, remember, is at 41, 541 and a quarter. All right, you see that there? Pops through the intraday high, immediately sucks back. You know, range market, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful betting on big trends in a range market. 60 seconds out, let's see what we get as far as a close. And I gotta tell you, I'm very interested in the next bar. If this one closes as a strong bull bar, I'm very interested in the following bar. Yeah, Joe, you could draw that, 100%. You could draw this, right? It's there. I see it all subconsciously. I don't really like to draw too many things. Usually when I'm drawing something, it's for you guys, honestly. When I'm trading on my own, I just know it's there. I don't really draw it. Because it's a range. And sometimes, honestly, I think drawing the level can hurt, because it makes you see it as a level rather than a range. All right, very good here. Let's see. Ideally here, what I'd want to see is a nice small bear bar closing right around here, just below this previous bar's wick low. Though inside this bar is open just to give me room if this becomes a thing, right? And then I'd short that. 25 seconds out, let's see what we get. Doji close, nothing there. Next bar, 2 minutes out. You know, honestly, what I would prefer is Alt-E for a stop limit buy. Alt-E for a stop limit buy. And it's not at the wick high. It's 1 point above the wick high. And then what I would really like is Alt-I for a stop limit sell. That's how I set up the aerodynamics of my fingers. Alt-I for a stop limit sell. 1 point below the previous bar's wick low. All right, 5 seconds out. Looks like it's going to be an inside close here on this bar. Yep. All right, next bar, 2 minutes out. Yeah, Alt-I for stop limit sell and Alt-E for stop limit buy. There will likely be some code involved, of course. Price action. Well, I mean, I can do you one better. I have, at this point, days and days and days and days worth of probably a couple 100 hours worth of live streams of me trading the exact same way, depending on the context of the market. But I get it. I mean, people want like a 10-minute video. I'm sorry, that's not really possible. I can make a few 10-minute videos about price action trading and how I do things, but it's going to leave a lot out. There's a lot of little nuanced things, which is why I think trading live, and then if I do like a trade recap video here or there, those are going to be the most helpful. But strategy videos, obviously, I think are important, so I can work on some of those. All right, a minute 3 out. There we go. Let's go. Release some of the tightness here in the market. I want to see some volatility. But this here is becoming more and more of a clear thing. It's aggressive. It's an aggressive level. All right, but we know people are looking at it. Relatively easy trade to manage also. All right, we'll leave that out for 30 seconds. That is a stop limit. I'm sorry, that is a buy limit order, not a stop limit. That's a buy limit. All right, cool. We got to fill. Suck up our protective stop. We'll leave that like about there. And there we go. All right, let's see if that little bull channel holds up. Yeah, Chris, I agree, man. Let's get a Control-Z hotkey. To undo the bad trades. Yeah, Mark, not exactly. I'm betting against the breakout downside because we're in this little ascending bull channel, which is it's essentially a range, right? And most breakout attempts in a range market are going to fail. So yeah, having a few stops up top there, it doesn't hurt. Though, they're short-lived stops. This high has not existed for an extraordinarily long period of time. So how many stops can really accumulate up there? A few, but not many. Hey, Toby, how we doing? All right, 46 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. ATR currently right around 9. There's a bit of a push, not too bad. Oh, struggling, man. Getting wicked back pretty quick. 56 seconds out here from the rollover of this 2-minute bar. All right, about 90 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute. All right, small little bear bar previously. We'll give it one more bar. Now, if this turns into a strong bear bar closing near the low, manage early. Remember, these orders that I have out that you can see on screen, these are protective orders in case we get news. Kevin, Nico, say you get a strong bear bar. Do you flip or hold your current trade till stop? Depends how the bar looks, okay? But if the price action is convincing, if it is a trade that I would enter to the short side on its own, I just cut it and move on. But we are very, very, very tiny little in the red here. So, I mean, if we get a convincing bear bar, yeah, let's cut that bitch and move on. Tiny little loser here. Volatility is killing us. It's way down. ATR is 8.5. It's all right. All right, we got 3 minutes and 48 seconds until the close here of this 5-minute bar. You're looking at a 2-minute chart right now. We are 1 minute and 40 out. So let's see if this can at least clean up a little bit. Now, again, if this shoots back upside, I really got to tell you, I don't care. We'll just trade that action. James, good morning. How we doing? All right. Decent little bear sequence here. The 20 EMA on the 5-minute is at 517. So it's just something to consider. All right, new 2-minute bar here. Good, good. Downside push. About 9 points out from a test here. With the 20 EMA on the 5. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Nothing more, nothing less. Gotta keep an eye on it. Because other people are. All right, minute 16 out here. All right, 10 seconds. See how this 2-minute bar closes. Bulls wicking it right back up here. This might be an inside close. Yeah, there you go. Inside close. No trade. Next bar, minute 56 out. Jeff, what's going to happen at FOMC? I don't know, man. Let me give Powell a call and ask. Powell doesn't even know what the market's going to do at FOMC. Come on now. News is 50-50. That is a big maturing moment as a trader when you realize that news is 50-50. at least market-wide news, right? Obviously, news on like small cap momentum stocks is the entire business model. It drives the entire FOMO push that pays us. But especially on futures, man, it's 50-50. It just is. Everything's too efficient. Okay, 20 EMA on the 5-minute, by the way. We're coming into that. So that's right about 518. I'll put my cursor where the 20 EMA on the 5-minute is currently. That's where it is. All right. Minute 50 out. The 5-minute bar closes in 2 minutes and 47 seconds. So a minute after this 2-minute will roll over. This is a pretty important point here. If the bulls pop this back up, you know that they're looking at the 20 on the 5. Preferably, I'd like to see the bears just fall off and give us a nice growing bear bar closing near the low, well beneath the 20 on the 5. Just take that out of the equation and give us a short entry. But I don't care. I'll take a long entry if we get it. All right, 56 seconds out. Let's see what we get. Gotta keep an eye on this, right? Gotta keep an eye on that, though. We are overtaking this wick, this open. 10 seconds out. Let's see how this closes up. I don't like that. I don't like that inside close. All right, next bar. See this? Bar closed right at, if not one tick below the previous bar's wick high. It's not a coincidence. I mean, a little insecurity out of the bulls. Little bit. All right, inside close here, next bar. By the way, just for context, had this bar shot down and closed right here, I'd have bought that rollover. Bet against the breakout. It is a range market after all. Is it the EMA or SMA you're using on the chart? Of which period is it? Thanks. Well, you know, it doesn't matter. I just have it up so I don't get dizzy looking at things. I just kind of like to know where we sit. It could be the volume weighted average price. It could be the 10 EMA. This happens to be a 20 EMA on the 2-minute chart. I'm not using it really for any trading decisions other than one interesting phenomenon is if you see a trend day, which we're certainly not in, this is a range day. If it doesn't pull back and test a 20 EMA all day, the probability of it doing so at some point is very high. That doesn't necessarily help us make trading decisions on their own, but it can help with context. Yeah, Tube, it's not that simple, man. It's... Come hang out on the stream, and you'll see what I mean. I can't answer that, because it's not that simple, because I would do two opposite things on the exact same outside close bar, depending on the context of the situation. I wish I could answer that and say, yep, just do this, you'll make money. That's not the reality. So I could answer that and just make you happy and say, ooh, I want to hang out at this stream, because he answers questions. No, I tell you the truth, because it's not that simple. So, if you want to hang out and understand what I mean, we'd love to have you. But watch whoever the hell you want. Alright, inside close on that last little bull bar. Sizable wick. Next bar, minute 40 out. Alright, ATR is in the 8s. ATR is, of course, the average range of a 2-minute bar in points. Joe, okay, it's a range day, but if we get a strong close over 33, would you buy the rollover and target 10 points up knowing it's within the high of day, or would you sell that? Well, right now, if we got that, I would be more inclined to sell it for a scalp, buy it for a slightly longer scalp. But right now, since the ATR is so low, I'm thinking more head down, scalp, 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 scalp. I mean, you saw the last loser I cut was like, what, like fucking 3 points? Basically break even. The volatility is so low. I'd be more inclined to sell it unless volatility increased, in which case I would buy that scenario. This is what I mean when I say context. Like, it doesn't really let you just answer a complicated question definitively like that unless we're staring the exact situation in the face. Now, if we did get a pop here, it would depend how high does it close? How high does it close? You know, if it's tight and it closes at 33.50, I'd be willing to buy that rollover because then my risk to the downside is relatively tight and my potential reward until we have to test the top is more. However, then it turns into a longer trade. Right now, if we popped higher and closed up here, I gotta tell you, I'd be much more willing to sell that than buy it. But I would not put my stop up here because that's a sucker stop. it's almost certainly going to get touched. So I'm betting against this breakout succeeding is what that trade would be. Which, I get it, is kind of the opposite of what you might think, but that's what is so nice about the market. You can do opposite things and both be right. You can both be wrong. We all live in a fog when we're trading. When people talk, here's a really easy rule of thumb. If people talk like something is so certain, they say, of course Nasdaq's going higher. Are you kidding me? It's FOMC day. This is going to happen. The price action is this. They don't know what they're talking about because the probability, if that was true, the market would implode because there would be no sellers. Everybody would just be looking to buy, but there would be no one to sell it. Right? So very easy way to tell when someone's extremely green trying to sound like they've been here for a decade. All right, I'm going to grab coffee. Back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right, we are back. See how this bar closes here. Okay, interesting close. But I've got my eye on this 519 low. Let's see what happens there. That, by the way, the 20 EMA on the 5-minute chart is currently at 521. So kind of right in that region here. Let's see what happens if we can get a test down there. All right, Joe, have a good one. All right, Christian. Two o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock Central. About 1 hour from now is when FOMC is going to start moving things. Might see a little bit of volatility as we head into it, of course. But that's when it hits. All right, we got 65 seconds out until this 2-minute bar closes. I would like to short a nice strong bull close. Let's see if we can get that here. Both sides have been struggling to give us much to work with pretty much all day here. All right, 30 seconds out. Place a limit sell, 1 tick. Above the previous bar's wick high, we'll give it 30 seconds. If we get a fill, great. If not, gotta pull it. 15 seconds. No trade, gotta pull it. No fill. All right, got to keep an eye on this kind of thing, right? But we know that's there, so I don't want to have it drawn. I don't like sloppy charts. "15 seconds out here. Let's see what we get." Inside close, man. It closing inside that previous bar's wick high. No trade. Next bar, minute 53 out. All right, it's been a while since I've checked in with you guys. What are we trading? What are we trading? I know some of you guys are on personal accounts. Most of you are trading prop, of course. Are we in funded accounts? Are we trading evals? Obviously, with Take Profit Trader running that ridiculous 40% off no activation fee deal, I know a lot of you guys are probably trading those test accounts. Apex just ended their 90% off sale. Hope you took advantage of that, by the way, with code BIG. So I know a lot of you guys are probably trading those evals. Gains, 250K evals. Jacob trading eval. John living the eval life. Yeah, Zach, the Apex is 1 day pass if you use code BIG. Right now they're 50% off. They were just 90% off though. All right, we are 17 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. I'm gonna place that there and give it 15 seconds. No filled, no trade. All right, 30 seconds out till we get the 5-minute close. So let's switch over here to the 5-minute chart. Let's see what we get over there. All right, there you go. There's a 5-minute chart. Jason, what's up, brother? A couple good trades on gold. Glad to hear it. All right, there's the close of the 5-minute. Kind of a, I mean, compared to the size of the body, right? I mean, volatility's low. You got to consider that. Bit of a wake back there. It is an outside close. I don't hate it. But I mean, when we look at the 2-minute chart, you gotta consider, I mean, right? Right? I mean, we know that people are watching that kind of thing. And in a low volatility environment, it's hard to take that trade betting on the push up through the intraday high, especially an hour out from FOMC. You gotta think, is there really a lot of reason for that to occur so quickly on the rollover? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, things are probably priced relatively efficiently here today, which leads me to want to just scalp the range. Right, but still, we need a setup to do that. All right, back to the 2-minute chart here. This is a 2-minute. A lot of new people here, by the way, guys. I'm live every day. If you have not done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 102K, baby. All right, 50 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. That if it closed kind of right at the wick low, I would love to buy that. Maybe a little bit lower than the wick low. Jacob, I've been streaming for 4 months. But I've had the channel been around for over maybe 4.5 years now. Shit, it's been that long. All right, 5 seconds out. Let's see what we get. Yeah, I gotta buy that rollover. Gotta buy that rollover, and we will suck the protective stop up tight. Tight, 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 because that's what the market calls for right now. We'll leave that. Let's see if we get a bit of a push. ATR currently is at 7.9. So we got to consider that when making our ask out of this scalp here. Can't be looking for, tremendous asks out of the market in a market like this. When we're scalping, at least, right? All right, I remember ATR is 7.6. It's tight, man. I'm going to take 6.5 points if I can get a fill. That's coming into an ATR. I don't want to make much more of an ask than that out of a scalp. So let's just see if we can get a fill. No fill yet. There we go, filled out there. All right, nice little winner. Let's move on. Okay, 90 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. ATR is at about 8, 7.5, 8. That's pretty damn low. We can work with it. Let's see what we get. 65 seconds out. Dorothy, can you explain the ATR, please? Sure, ATR stands for average true range, okay? Now, the average true range has a value, and it applies to whatever chart you're on. So I'm on the 2-minute chart currently, and the value on my ATR is 10. So what that tells us is, on average, out of the last 10 2-minute bars, which is the last 20 minutes, how many points is the average bar? And that is the blue line there. Okay, now the orange, that is the individual range in points of each individual bar, of course. And then that blue line is the average. That helps us determine, you know, are we making an unreasonable ask out of the market? If I entered a trade right now and I said, okay, I expect this trade to take maybe 5 minutes or less, 10 minutes at the most, because I'm scalping, and the ATR is 4, and I say, okay, I'm going to set my target at 40 points. That's an unreasonable ask based on the current market environment with the time frame that I expect on that trade, right? That's unreasonable. Something's not aligning. Vin bought an Apex 50K yesterday with code BIG. Attaboy. Yeah, I mean, not necessarily more points the better. I like it to be within reason. Now, we saw a single range of a 2-minute bar back in the early days of tariff talk a few months ago. A single 2-minute bar. See how the last bar had a range of 7 points? A single 2-minute bar had a range of 400. That's a little whippy. That's kind of high. Okay, but right now, you know, if this said 20, 15, 20, 25, 30, I'd be thrilled with that. Volatility right now has just been pretty low, which can make the job a little bit tougher. You can still work with it. I don't think you should just not trade when volatility is low, because it can stay low for 6 months. You still have to, you know, be able to figure out an edge in a low volatility environment. But it can get a little bit frustrating when it gets really low. This is not really low yet. It's just pretty low. Damn right, Jacob. Like the stream. Wit, new sub here, popped up on my YouTube. Good to virtually meet you. Yeah, man, good to have you. Good to have you. Hope to see you become a regular in the chat. We have many of them. Know them all by name, man. They're here every morning. All right, minute 50 out here from the rollover of this new 2-minute bar. Let's see what we get. Yeah, John. So for those of you guys who are a little bit newer, man, a couple months ago when volatility was a little bit higher, we were smacking the continuation setups, arbitrary 40-point stop, 40-point take profit. Let that take care of itself, offload the risk management and the take profit to the computer because it was a different market. We could do that. And we were slapping 40-point continuation trades, 80-point trades, 100-point trade here and there. We had a $10,000 trade, but volatility was higher. You know, that's great. But we can't just sit here and say, oh, the glory days, because they'll be back. Okay, we got to make money in the meantime in the range market. If you can get through this market, I mean, look here, guys. Look at the bottom of your screen. If you can get through this, and then we see a really high volatility market, and you can survive through that, you've seen damn near everything, okay? Because these are the extremes. Right now, we're in kind of an extreme range market, low volatility. which can be tough, especially if you're trying to trade continuation, man. That's tough. That's tough. You should be trying to trade the range right now. And then in big volatility or like a really hard trend market, for example, don't try to trade the range. Just trade the continuation. Your life will be a whole lot more enjoyable. But once you see both of those, man, you can handle those and the extremes and everything in between. If you're a little bit newer, man, just get through this, and if you can make money in it, fantastic. Then we wait for the trend market, get through that, don't blow yourself up. You should be able to make money in the trend market as well, ideally. Get through that, don't blow yourself up, fantastic. You've seen most things now. Obviously, you're still gonna learn every year. I'm still gonna get better decade by decade, of course. We're never done learning. I'll be better tomorrow than I was today, forever, ideally. But it's low. Just for context, man, the volatility right now is low. It's tight. Yeah, John, you know, those times will be back. They'll be back. That's trading. I don't think a lot of people really get it. I think people come into trading and they're like, okay, if I can just make 10,000 a month, every month, like clockwork, I'm good. It's like, no. Trading actually looks like this. Some months you might make, some months you might make, you know, I don't know, $3,000, let's say. And then other months you might make $112,000, just for example, to put random numbers out there. That's trading. Some months you might be red. It's the game. That's why, I mean, you got to just shoot for numbers that are so big that the volatility and income doesn't matter. That's really the goal, right? But those times will be back. And then, you know, you can average quarter by quarter. You take the first 6 months. Okay, what was, you know, how much I make in the first 6 months? What did I make in quarter 2, Q2, Q3, Q4? But it's volatile. Now, as the numbers get bigger, again, it evens out. Because your cost of living is a smaller percentage of your income, so it doesn't matter as much, right? Good to have you, John. Hope to see you back, brother. Alert! Frequently asked questions. Yes, those are the correct answers. I'm 5'1", and yes, we do use a voice changer around here. Zishan, isn't it easier to trade range? Yeah, you know, some people might think it's easier to trade range. I think it depends on the range. And it depends on you. It depends on the person. I think range trading when the volatility is good is easier than range trading when the volatility is low. Right? But you know, every day is different. It's really hard to answer that question with you know, a very definitive thought process. But I think it's a little lighter on the brain as far as decision making in a trend market, if that makes sense. Because if I see a clear trend, it turns into, okay, let's buy, basically stop limit buys above any strong bull bar closing near its high within the range. I'm sorry, within the trend. And I can add on the same event. And in trend markets, typically I'm not really adding to losers. In a range market, you know, usually you're not adding to winners because the profit take is tighter and you run out of room. But in a range market, sometimes you'll add to losers. Then you got to cut it if you end up catching the trend. Okay, that's where people blow up in range markets. But mathematically speaking, it makes sense. You can add to losers in a range market and add to winners in a trend market. Mathematically, that makes sense, right? But it's dangerous because people blow up because they add to losers in a range market, not realizing that, hey, this is turning into an intraday trend, and they blow up. Blaze, any recommendations on where to learn how to trade range specifically? Well, I mean, if you want to watch, if you want to watch the stream here for free, I think that's probably a great place to learn. It's, not a small time investment to hang out with me for a couple hours every day. If you'd like to, though, we'd love to have you. There's a lot of people who trade price action on the internet, man. If you like someone else better, go watch someone else. But that's what we're doing around here. Or you can work with me one-on-one, of course. That's not gonna be free, baby. Hey, Doe, how we doing? All right, we got 15 seconds out from the close here of this 2-minute bar. Give us about 15 seconds here. Getting that suck back I'm looking for. That's all right. Next bar. All right, 25 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. Let's see what we get. Inside close, next bar, 2 minutes out. Reminder, guys, we have FOMC in 33 and a half minutes. All right, so remember, if you're trading some take profit trader pros, I don't want to see you lose those babies. Don't be trading at 1 p.m. Central. Yeah, dial in. That I think that's correct. Though, I'd probably make it 5 and 5 just to not risk anything. Because if their system tends to, if they catch it 5 seconds off of when you actually execute it and then they blow your account, even though you're like, well, hey, wait, I was actually out 4 seconds before, I just wouldn't mess with that. Yeah, Brandon, it's 1 minute. It's technically 1 minute before and after, but I would extend that out just to avoid issues. All right, 30 seconds out here from the rollover of this 2-minute bar. Do we get? Inside close, no trade, next bar. All right, guys. Well, listen, I gotta hit lunch before FOMC, and then I'm gonna trade myself this afternoon and see. Volatility's kind of slow, but don't you worry, this is gonna pick up here in about 30 minutes. So hey, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I am live every single day doing just what we did here today. And hey, if you want to work with me one-on-one, I dropped the link in the chat, wrenchcapital.com/coaching. We'll get you funded in 90 days, or I give you all of your money back. Show me another motherfucker who has the confidence, we'll say, to offer you that. You literally get the outcome, which is getting funded, or you do not pay. You understand? You understand? That does not exist elsewhere. Do it. I'll see you soon. All right, guys, subscribe to the channel. I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a good one.